The ability to prove one's identity is a fundamental and universal human right.
We live in a digital era.
Individuals need a trusted, verifiable way to prove who they are,
both in the physical world
and online.
Over 1 billion people worldwide are unable to prove their identity through any recognized means.
As such, they are without the protection of law and are unable to access basic services, participate as a citizen or voter, or transact in the modern economy.
La mayoría de esos afectados son niños y adolescentes. Muchos de ellos son refugiados, desplazados forzosos o personas sin país.
For some, including refugees, the stateless, and other marginalized groups, reliance on national identification systems isn't possible.
This may be due to exclusion, inaccessibility, or risk, or because the credentials they do hold are not broadly recognized.
While we support efforts to expand access to national identity programs, we believe it is imperative to complement such efforts by providing an alternative to individuals lacking safe and reliable access to state-based systems.
We believe that individuals must have control over their own digital identities,
including how personal data is collected, used, and shared.
Everyone should be able to assert their identity across institutional and national borders and across time.
La privacidad, la portabilidad y la persistencia son necesarias para que la identidad digital empodere y proteja a las personas de manera importante.
Digital identity carries significant risk if not thoughtfully designed and carefully implemented.
We do not underestimate the risks of data misuse and abuse, particularly when digital identity systems are designed as large, centralized databases.
Technical design can mitigate some of the risks of digital identity.
Emerging technology, for example, cryptographically secure, decentralized systems,
could provide greater privacy protection for users, while also allowing for portability and verifiability.
But widespread agreement on principles, technical design patterns, and interoperability standards is needed for decentralized digital identities to be trusted and recognized.
This better model of digital identity will not emerge spontaneously.
In order for digital identities to be broadly trusted and recognized, we need sustained and transparent collaboration aligned around these shared principles, along with supporting regulatory and policy frameworks.
ID 2020 Alliance partners jointly define functional requirements, influencing the course of technical innovation, and providing a route to technical interoperability, and therefore trust and recognition.
The ID 2020 Alliance recognizes that taking these ideas to scale requires a robust evidence base, which will inform advocacy and policy.
As such, ID 2020 Alliance-supported pilots are designed around a common monitoring and evaluation framework.
We humbly recognize that this is no easy task, but we see urgency as a moral imperative. This is why we have set ambitious targets and why we hold ourselves to account.
Hey, Shalom Akim, Shalom, Kal Halal, Yahweh Ba'Shem, Yahweh Shah, Ba'Shem, Makah HaKadosh. We send double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Much peace, love, and salutations to you. Akim out there pushing the word of sincerity and truth. This is Brother Ariala. And this is a World War III algo update, Mark of the Beast infrastructure. Recently, we've seen in the news about this ID 2020, movement or campaign that they're set to launch out probably about a year from now, next year, where they want to basically create digital IDs for 1.2 billion people all across the world. Basically they're saying that there's so many people all across the world that are going unidentified and have lack of access to certain benefits that different international governments can provide, and different aids that people can provide, and how it's needful to do this. And as you saw in this opening kind of vid, they got all of that. I guess these are people who work for the corporation to read on the teleprompter, why ID 2020 is important. And they got the little soft music in the background to kind of make it seem, so nice. But this is how the devil will produce, and basically be able to provide his Mark of the Beast technology. It's going to seem as something that's very, very, needed. It's gonna come off as something that is peaceful and that's gonna advance human civilization, you know. And you know, when you read in the book of Revelation 13, the scripture says, Revelation 13 and 15, it says, and he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, and that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. And you know, this is something that we've been saying. If something was to happen, if there was a global event and everybody was needing to be identified in order to have access to certain things within the world systems, you know, this type of infrastructure has to come to place. And that's what I want to talk about. I think a lot of times when people hear us say how the mark of the beast is the microchip, they think about the scalability, and that was mentioned here. Scalability, the ability to globally get this done, you know, and that takes time to build. We are in a time, for the first time in human history, where the technology is available. And so I want to talk about the infrastructure of this mark of the beast system and how piece by piece has been put together. By digging into this ID 2020, who's running this organization, and the people that are behind it. Okay, when you go into the book of Daniel with the 8th chapter and the 25th verse, it says, and through his policy also he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand, and he shall magnify himself in his heart, and by peace shall destroy many. So he shall stand up against the prince of princes, but he shall be broken without hand. And you know, this scripture right here can allude to what we read about in Revelation, the 19th chapter, where we read about basically throughout Revelation 17, 18, 19, how this man is going to, even in Revelation, the 12th chapter, you know, how Esau, so-called white man, all right, the seed of the serpent, is going to try to be as God, man. And in that, he's going to put himself in a situation where he's fighting against even the Heavenly Father. So I want to play this clip here, go over a couple of articles that I was reading, and then dig into this a little bit. Lord willing, this is edifying.
ID 2020 is a global strategic initiative aiming to help deliver against the United Nations.
It's a global strategic initiative. Listen to Esau's words. Okay?
Aiming to help deliver against the United Nations sustainable goal of legal identity for all. There are 1.5 billion people in the world who don't have a legal identity. No legal identity means no bank account and social exclusion.
No legal identity means no bank account and social exclusion. Both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, right? What does it all go back to? Being unbanked. Alright? Buying and selling. But you need to be identified in order to function within that system, or you're excluded. Why does it matter to government and society?
It matters to society as a whole. It's incumbent upon those that can to serve those that can't. It's going to be an annual conference up until 2030. There will be a mixture of non-governmental organisations, humanitarian agencies, technologists, innovators and policymakers. Technology cannot speak for itself. It requires innovators to talk to policymakers.
Innovators need to talk to policymakers. Revelation 13 and 15. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many will not worship the image of the beast should be killed. Listen to Esau's words.
And policymakers. Technology cannot speak for itself. It requires innovators to talk to policymakers. And this is a form of which we can do that. Legal identity for 1.5 billion people is complex. PwC does complex. Where would you start? Well, ID 2020 is simple and smart.
What does it set out to achieve?
The summit will look to examine the issues and to work out whether technology can be an enabler for societal good. Once a person has a legal identity, governments and non-government organisations can help people become safe, part of society, financially included and economically active. By bringing the right people to the table, focusing the debate, thinking of solutions that will affect up to a third of the world. The time is right to start today.
Boom. So when you look up ID 2020, and you look up the corporations that's behind it, one is called Accenture. We see the PwC. If we wanted to, we could type that in. All right, so when you look up PwC, it says Price Waterhouse Coopers, doing business as PwC, is a multinational professional services network with headquarters in London, United Kingdom. It ranks as the second largest professional services firm in the world and is one of the big four auditors along with Deloitte, EY, and KPMG. PwC is a network of firms in 158 countries, 721 locations with 250,930 people. As of 2018, 20% of the workforce worked in Asia, 28% in North America and the Caribbean, 30% in Western Europe. The company's global revenues were $41.3 billion. All right. It says of which 17.06 billion was generated by its assurance practice. All right. So when you type in, it says as of 2017, PwC is the 5th largest privately owned company in the United States. It's privately owned. Okay. You got, you know. It says in 1854, William Cooper founded an accountancy practice in London. Blah, 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 blah. You can go into and see and look up these people. All right. Now, when you look at the corporations that they work with, like Assurance. Assurance Service is an independent professional service typically provided by chartered and certified public accountants. The goal of improving information in the context of information. So what I did was I just kind of looked up this assurance at PwC to see who was really behind them. And also when you look up another company that they're working with called Accenture. All right. So let's go here. When you look up Accenture, and this goes along with PwC too. Accenture is stylized as Accenture Irish domicile multinational professional services company. All of these companies are multinational conglomerates. It takes huge infrastructure in order to pull up. It's going to take huge infrastructure to pull off this market of beast enterprise. You want to chip everybody. You need large technology. You need people who are tracking human resources, seeing how people moving around. You need the technology. All right, you got to have these banks on point. All right, the best way to get people locked into something is through the health services. All right, and these type of corporations can get that data. So when you look at this Fortune 500 company, it says they're a professional services company that provides service in strategy, consulting, digital, technology, and operations. All right. It's been incorporated in Dublin, Ireland since 2009. 2018, the company reported net revenues of $39.6 billion with more than 459,000 employees servicing clients in more than 200 cities and 150 companies. So we're talking about a global network. A global network. Now, when I type in Accenture and I was looking at the top shareholders, look at that. Top owners of it, Vanguard Group. Now, when you start looking up the Vanguard Group and Wellington Management, you're going to find out that this is basically those Rothschilds. These are those banking elites that we always talk about that are ruling the world. All right, and we'll touch on that in just a second. But first, I want to go and read this article here. All right, this is on CoinDesk at the beginning of the year. Microsoft, Hyperledger, UN join blockchain identity initiative. It says tech giant Microsoft and blockchain alliance Hyperledger have joined blockchain-based digital identity initiative, the ID 2020 Alliance. So you got Microsoft and these huge blockchain corporations. Now, what blockchain is able to do is you're basically able to track and keep up with huge amounts of data. All right, you're able to consist. So when you get Microsoft algorithms and you combine it with blockchain technology, it can keep up with billions and billions of people moving all around the world. All right, in literally less than nanoseconds. It says announced during the World Economic Forum at Davos in Switzerland yesterday. This is all the way back in January 23rd. It says the alliance, which aid agency Mercy Corps and the UN International Computing Center have also just joined, aims to improve people's lives through provision of digital identities. According to a press release, the group is developing solutions with a focus on users' direct ownership and control over their personal data using blockchain technology. All right. At issue is the fact that over 1.1 billion people face not being able to prove their identity and thus struggle to access benefits and services. All right. The situation also gives rise to more serious issues such as human trafficking, according to the World Bank. The initiative now received a $1 million donation from Microsoft, as well as contributions from entities including Accenture and the Rockefeller Foundation. Accenture, one of the founding members of the initiative, announced a $1 billion investment during the ID 2020 Alliance Summit last summer in New York. David Treat, MD of the global blockchain practice at Accenture, said, decentralized, user-controlled digital identity holds the potential to unlock economic opportunity. It always goes back to economic opportunity. The ability to buy and sell for refugees and others who are disadvantaged, while concurrently improving the lives of those simply trying to navigate cyberspace securely and privately. The release explained that digital identity that is a user-owned would include government-issued forms of legal identification and allow a seamless authentication process for people and institutions. We are building an ecosystem of partners committed to working across national and institutional borders to address this challenge at scale, Dakota Grutner, the executive director of ID 2020 Alliance, noted. All right. So, and if you want to, you can go and read the rest of this. But you can see how huge multinational corporations are coming together to put together this initiative. All right. Now, this was an article that I pulled up from nowtheendbegins.com. It's definitely, you can see it's a Christian-based website, but it's got this information wrapped up in a nutshell, and it does highlight scriptures that are relevant, man. They see it. All right. How you other Israelite groups don't see this, I don't know. I don't see it. But listen, the prophecy is speaking. The prophecy is speaking. It says Big Pharma and Microsoft are teaming up in something called the ID 2020 Alliance that will combine vaccinations with implantable microchips to create your digital ID. The ID 2020 Alliance, as it's being called, is a digital identity program that aims to leverage immunization as a means of inserting tiny microchips in people's bodies in collaboration with the Global Alliance for Vaccines and Immunization, also known as Gavi or Gavi. The government of Bangladesh and various other partners in the government, academia, and humanitarian relief. The ID 2020 Alliance hopes to usher in this mark of the beast as a way to keep tabs on every human being living on Earth. All right, and this is finally scalable to the point to where they could actually do this. All right, they have quantum computing, blockchain technology, you know, all types of quantum satelliting systems that can read, computate, and store and track all of this data now. All these huge multinational corporations are funding this piece by piece by piece, man. Multi-billion, multi-trillion-dollar initiatives and moves are being made behind the scenes. All right, that's why the scripture says when you go into Psalms 10:7 says, his mouth is full of cursing and deceit and fraud. Under his tongue is mischief and vanity. He sitteth in the lurking places of villages. In secret places doth he murder the innocent. His eyes are privily set against the poor. He lieth in wait secretly as a lion in his den. He lieth in wait to catch the poor. He doth catch the poor when he draweth him into his net. He croucheth and humbleth himself, that the poor may fall by his strong ones. And also when you go into Psalm 64, where it talks about hide me from the secret counsel of the wicked, man. This is how they do it, man. They do it through all these different corporations, all these different institutions coming together. That way it's hard to track and keep up with. Meanwhile, when you look these guys up, you can see that they all ran by Vanguard. They all ran by the same private owned people, man. And they just setting it up piece by piece by piece. All right, let me keep reading this just to stay on track. Okay, it says Big Pharma is officially partnering with the tech industry to pair immunization with digital biometrics, meaning humans will soon be microchipped, tracked, and ultimately controlled through global identification matrix. For years, we've been watching Microsoft, as founder Bill Gates, now retired from the company he founded, use his billions to give free vaccinations to people in third world countries. Now Bill has become a founding partner in another company. This one is called the ID 2020 Alliance. Its goal is to give every human being on earth a digital ID. How do they plan on accomplishing this feat? By combining mandatory vaccinations with implantable microchips. Alright? It says genius, isn't it? And coming soon to a theater near you. As it says, saying going. And then they quote Revelation 13, 16 through 18. It says, so now you know that Bill Gates and his wife Melinda were really doing what they were doing over the past 10 years, traveling third world countries and giving free vaccinations to the poor, downtrodden natives. All right, create crouches for the poor, right? Those vaccinations, those free vaccinations was research in a live testing lab to conduct the necessary experiments required to form ID 2020. As you will see today, this unholy hybrid of vaccinations and implantable microchips is already happening in Bangladesh. Soon it will be Boston. A page on the Gates Foundation website says that Bill and Melinda have so far invested over $2.5 billion in this project with no end in sight. All right. It says, can the man who put the world behind a personal computer now put a vaccination microchip digital ID into the global population? Bill Gates is absolutely positive he can, and indeed is well on his way to achieving that goal. And it ain't just Bill; it's people way bigger than Bill behind this movement. We just read about these different corporations. All right. We just read about them, all right? Let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come except there coming and falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition, who opposeth and exalteth himself above all that is called God or is worshipped, so that he as God sitteth in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God. 2 Thessalonians 2, 3, and 4. And that's talking about Esau, man. All right? It says, we have been warning you about this for the past 10 years. Now it's happening. Are you ready for what comes next? And that scripture is not talking about Bill Gates, okay? Bill Gates is a small piece of a much larger puzzle that's going on. All right. Let's see. Vaccines are now being used to harvest biometric identities of everyone. Big Brother merges with Big Pharma. It says from Natural News, the ID 2020 Alliance, as it's being called, is a digital identity program that aims to leverage immunization as a means of inserting tiny microchips into people's body. in collaboration with the Global Alliance for Vaccines and Immunizations, also known as Gavi, the government of Bangladesh, and various other partners in the government, academia. We already read that, right? Let's see if there's any more juiciness on this. Okay, boom. While the ID 2020 program's testing grounds are primarily in the third world, the group says it's also now working with governments here in the United States to start microchipping people through vaccination. In Austin, Texas, for example, the homeless population is now being exploited as a collective guinea pig for ID 2020's microchip vaccination program, which the group claims will help to empower homeless people by supposedly giving them control over their personal identity. The city of Austin, ID 2020, and several other partners are working together with homeless people and the service providers who engage with them to develop a blockchain-enabled digital identity platform called MyPass to empower homeless people with their own identity data, writes Chris Burke for biometricupdate.com. All right. Now we're seeing these corporations come together: Accenture, Gavi, Rockefeller Foundation, Microsoft. All right, Ideal.org. All right. ID 2020 is also jabbing refugees with this microchip vaccination through two inaugural pilot programs known as iRespond and Everest. According to reports, iRespond has improved community of care for more than 30,000 refugees receiving drug treatments for chronic illness. Everest, on the other hand, has assisted with the provision of access to critical energy subsidies and a range of additional services with secure and user-centric digital identities without relying on a smartphone, Burke writes. All of this is priming the public for an eventual mandate of microchip vaccinations, which will be required for every individual in order to buy and sell goods. Now, they're getting much more aggressive with these vaccinations, especially over the last 5 years. You notice that now, man. You walk into CVS, you go to Target, you go to Walmart, you go to these stores, man. You got literally people walking the aisles. Have you gotten your flu shot? Have you gotten vaccinated? Have you getting this? Are you getting that? We can do it right now. We can do it right now, man. So they're trying to get you. They're trying to get this thing primed. It's a huge infrastructure needed to get this going, and I'm trying to highlight that, man. Look at all these major global institutions that are partnering together to get this done. Okay, that's the mark of the beast, man. That's what they doing. It's happening right in front of your face. Now I want to read this real quick. This is in geopolitics.co. It says, Khazarian Vanguard Group diversifying its portfolio in China. I just want to talk about this Vanguard Group. All right. What is Vanguard? It says, the above property is leased in its entirety to the Vanguard Group, Inc. With more than $1.7 trillion of assets under management, Vanguard is one of the largest retail mutual fund managers in the world. Situated on a 12-acre site in Lake Point Office Park in Charlotte, North Carolina, the property consists of two freestanding 5-story office buildings and approximately 254 square feet. All right, so Vanguard, you see, it got over $1.7 trillion of assets that they're controlling and running. Right? Let's see. No wonder why they won't stop the warmongering. Check this. It says, Vanguard owns Raytheon. The Raytheon Company is a major American defense contractor and industrial corporation with core manufacturing concentrations in weapons and military and commercial electronics. So they got all of these technological corporations that they run, and they own Raytheon, #1 defense contractor in the world. They're funding everything, bro. They're the reason behind all these wars going all across the place, man. They're the reason why how these vaccines are getting all everywhere. They're behind the tech companies producing the blockchain technology. They're behind the tech companies that's producing the microchip. They're behind the companies that are doing all of the logistics, like Accenture, that does all the strategy and what is it called? Strategy, consulting, digital technology, and operation services all across the world in 120, 170 countries. All right, this is what Esau is doing, man. But he's got it in so many different corporations. It seems like, oh man, that's ridiculous. Who's doing that? It's not ridiculous. They're doing it right in front of your face, man. All right. It says it was previously talking about Raytheon Company. It was previously involved in corporate and special mission aircraft. In early 2007, Raytheon is the world's largest producer of guided missiles. Early years. In 1922, two former Tufts engineering college roommates, Lawrence K. Marshall and Vannevar Bush, along with scientist Charles G. Smith, founded American Appliance Company in Massachusetts. Blah, 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 blah. I'm going to skip down. It says in December 2014, according to filed reports, the top 10 institutional shareholders of Raytheon are Wellington Management, Vanguard, State Street Corporation, Barrow, Haley, Mawhinney and Strauss Incorporated, BlackRock Institution, BlackRock Advisors, Bank of America Corporation. Now, when you go and look up all the major companies in the world, and you go say you go look up who's the top shareholders, guarantee you 3 of the top 10 is gonna be one of these guys, and I can guarantee you in 90% of them you're gonna see Vanguard Group or Wellington Management Company. That's all Rothschilds. Okay, it says Khazarians behind Vanguard Group. The Russians, for their part, provided the WDS with a load of detailed financial data on what they say is the cabal's main instrument of control, the Vanguard Corporation. The Russian documents show that Vanguard is owned by Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, the Bushes, the Clinton, Donald Rumsfeld, Dick Cheney, and other senior Khazarian mobsters. Vanguard, in turn, controls most major U.S. corporations, especially the nasty ones like Monsanto and Greystone, formerly Blackwater. All right. So this is what they do, bro. They create all of these different companies, and then they fund those companies to do everything they want. And when you look up who really owns them, Vanguard doesn't have to report who's privately owning them. They can black that out. All right. So this is all Esau's handiwork, working in all these multinational companies. And so you think that this is something that's coming out of India. You think that this is something coming out of China. You think that this is something coming out of all these different nations. But the corporations that's funding it is Edomite-based Khazarians, bro. That's who this is. All right. That's what's going on. And it's so big that it makes you not even want to think about it. But meanwhile, they just plugging away. Now, we talked about how Bill Gates is doing all this, and how they working with vaccination, global vaccinations, and ID 2020. But look at the words that they use in order to kind of put it in your mind that something's coming. Now, this is back in May 12th of 2018. It says, Bill Gates reveals a scary simulation that shows how a deadly flu could kill more than 30 million people within 6 months. Now, I just told you, like, be mindful of the last 5 years, bro. Me and my wife, we was in Target the other day and had somebody running up on us about some damn flu shot. They ain't never did that before, man. We over there looking at pants. You guys want some flu shots? I'm like, get the hell away from me, man. They're preparing the people's minds. It takes time to do something this big. All right, so you see this simulation, this picture of this simulation. It says month 5, total deaths 29,509,648. Right? It says the Shattuck flu map animated simulation shows what would happen if a highly contagious and lethal airborne pathogen like the 1918 flu were to occur today. Nearly 33 million people worldwide will die in just 6 months, right? And so, they can use that to say, man, we need to provide a platform to where we can have global immunizations. And at the same time, we can link it with the ID 2020 Alliance. And not only can we get people vaccinated and save them from the possible death from the flu, but we can also get these people incorporated into a global identification system so they can have, they can become a part of the global economy. So they can have access to all this different aids. Right now, we can't help these people because they're not identified. We just want to help people. And that's why we read that, through his policy, craft shall increase, man. And through peace, he's going to kill a whole bunch of people. It says, when a 1918 influenza pandemic was spreading around the world 100 years ago, it was so deadly and contagious that it took only 5 weeks to spread across the U.S. In just over a year, that virus infected 500 million people around the globe, a third of the world's population. It killed between 50 and 100 million people, with 675,000 of those deaths in the U.S. Medicine has improved significantly since then, but we also now live in a more globalized world. People hop on planes every day, cross borders in the oceans, and bring whatever diseases and pathogens they're infected with along with them. Experts think that if a new deadly flu like that 1918 pandemic virus were to emerge now, it will spread rapidly and kill almost 33 million people within 6 months. Bill Gates frequently warns people about this possibility, and he reiterated his concerns last month at a discussion about epidemics hosted by Massachusetts Medical Society and the New England Journal of Medicine. Alright? Blah, 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 blah. Alright? So they plan all of these simulations to get people wrapped up in what they want. So check this. You see how they showing it spread? You see, put this on a big projector screen, and all the nerds go, ooh, ah, ee. Alright? This is what they want to do. Alright? This is what they want to do. Let me read this, man, and then I'll close out. This is the book of Psalms, chapter 64, verse 1. It says, "Hear my voice, O power, in my prayer. Preserve my life from the fear of the enemy. Hide me from the secret counsel of the wicked, from the insurrection of the workers of iniquity, who whet their tongue like a sword and bend their bows to shoot their arrows, even bitter words, that they may shoot in secret at the perfect. Suddenly do they shoot at him and fear not. They encourage themselves in an evil matter. They commune of laying snares privily. They say, who shall see them? They search out iniquities. They accomplish a diligent search, both the inward thought in every one of them, and the heart is deep. But the Most High shall shoot at them with an arrow. Suddenly shall they be wounded, so they shall make their own tongue fall upon themselves. All that see them shall flee away." And that's what's going to happen, man. The Most High is actually laying snares for the wicked. In his global enterprise and his global mark of the beast ideology that he feels like he's going to accomplish, the Most High is laying a snare and laying a trap for the wicked, man. So we encourage Esau to move forward. We know that it's needful for prophecy. We know it's needful for the end times to come and be accomplished according to what Yahweh Shem Yahushua says, man. I just wanted to highlight and touch on that because we see this ID 2020 agenda, but when you look behind it and you look at the corporations that are actually funding it, you can go back and you can identify who's the person doing it. Yeah, we know that it's Esau, but you can track it, man. Look at it. When you look at this group, Accenture, of course we know Microsoft. When we look at the blockchain technology and what it can accomplish, we see that this mark of the beast infrastructure is being laid, and they're moving forward with it, man. So, we're going to see what's going to happen over the course of 2020, how they basically push the propaganda to make this normalized. Piece by piece by piece, they're already doing it. But, one of the things that people are going to have to take note of is that, hey, Great Millstone has been telling you people, man, all through the Spirit, man. So, Lord willing, that was edifying. I just wanted to touch base on that, man. You brothers add more scriptures, more articles and videos, man, into it that you know about, man, just to keep the party going. Call halal Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shah Ba'ashem Rakah HaKadosh. Double honors to the apostles and elders once again. Much peace, love, and salutations to you brothers out there persistently and consistently pushing the word in sincerity and truth. Shalom.